Hello and welcome to the CIO Update. I'm Gary Dugan, the Chief Investment Officer at Emirates MBD. The title of my weekly is A Sense of Unease. I think after some weeks where we've seen better data across the world and some signs of inflation, last week was a bit mixed. But let me try and cut through the noise. Firstly, we are seeing more inflation. That's largely coming from the improvement in the oil price, which in the last week on West Texas was still hanging in there at around $50, with the OPEC meeting still to come in November. So we think this small amount of inflation combined with better growth, although it's not continuous, like we saw retail sales last week from the US that disappointed. But in broad terms, I don't think the world has seen maybe as good a picture as we're seeing at the moment, but only in the sense that we're seeing less downside risk rather than substantial upside. So if we bring all this together, we think that bond yields in the United States that have moved up towards 180 are probably capped in the near term, and that'll bring some relief to bond holders who have seen some losses in recent weeks. I think equities, after a wobble in the latter stages of last week, could continue to make some progress. For example, in the US, we're seeing maybe some surprises on earnings. Better growth through the third quarter, increased industrial confidence should lead to upgrades to profit forecasts, which will encourage the market higher. Locally, we think there's an opportunity in Saudi Arabia equities. It's been a terrible market year to date, down about 17%, underperforming global markets and regional markets. And yet there is better news. It is one of the most oil-sensitive of economies, and I'm sure the leadership of the country will welcome the higher oil prices we've seen recently, which will help them with their deficit management. Meantime, there's probably greater regard for the efforts being made, both through the bond issues to come, which should bring international investment into Saudi Arabia and help liquidity, and we're seeing probably in the future the IPO of Aramco, which again will bring another amount of money into the country to solve some of the near-term problems. So in aggregate, Saudi Arabian equities probably 5 to 7% upside. So broadly across the world, yes, some unease, but the trends are still there. Certainly more positive than we've seen for some time, but not to get carried away. There is a tactical opportunity to buy equities, but we'd still encourage people to keep the bulk of their investments in bonds, in gold and in cash, and then to some degree in equities. Thank you.